In this video, we'll talk about Vue Slots. Vue Slots allow us to pass a template content from the parent component to a child component. A slot can be seen as a placeholder for template content. Let's go to VS Code and look at an example. Let me create a Git branch for this Vue concept, so it will be easier for you to review the code later. Git branch Vue Slots intro. Git switch Vue Slots intro. First, let's create a component. And let's call it alert box.view. So in the alert box, let's define a CSS class. Let's call this alert. Let me copy and paste in some styles. And we're going to use this class on this div. In the div, let's print an alert message. Error. Oops. Something went wrong. Okay, very simple. Then let's go to app and let's import this alert box and use it inside the app component. Import alert box from alert box.view. Alert box. Then let's start our project and see the result in the browser. Everything looks okay. The content in alert box is printed here. But what if I want to pass some template content to this alert box component to customize this alert message here? In other words, instead of printing this hard-coded alert message, I want app to determine what kind of message to print. But we still want to use the layout and also the style defined in alert box. But the content should really be provided by this parent component or the consumer component. Recall that, for example, here is H1. This is a standard HTML element. We can pass content to this H1 element, like hello slots, right? Can we do the same thing to a component defined by ourselves? For example, here, I want to pass in invalid username or password. Please try again. Unfortunately, at this point, you cannot. So here, if I refresh the page, we still have this hard-coded error message. Oops, something went wrong. Because at this moment, the alert box is not ready to receive the content. By the way, we call this part template content. So the template content we put here is lost. So how can we let the alert box child component receive the content we passed to it? We can use Vue Slots. So let me delete this part and go to alert box. So instead of hard coding this thing here, let me delete this part. We can put a Vue slot element here. Slot. Okay, now good. As you can see that we already see this invalid username or password. Please try again. So you can think of this slot, line 4, as a placeholder for the template content provided by the parent component or the consumer component. When the child component renders, line 4, the slot element will be replaced by the template content from the parent component or the consumer component. Take a look at this picture here. The slot content, we also call it the template content, provided by the parent component replaces the slot outlet or simply slot that we defined in the child component, in this case, alert box. What if the parent component is not providing anything? So for example, let me delete this one. Now, as you can see, there's nothing in the slot. Now, in this case, optionally, you can put a default message. So paste. If the parent component is not providing any slot content or template content, then this message will be shown. That's the default message. Otherwise, this part will be replaced by the slot content provided by the parent component. So this is a default message, or we call it fallback content for a slot, if the parent component fails to provide anything. Okay. Slot content is not just limited to text. It can be any valid template content. For example, we can pass in an HTML element, or multiple HTML elements, or even other components. But here, I only show you passing an HTML element. So here I can pass h1, and maybe this one is the request timed out. Please refresh the page and try again. So as you can see here, this message has the h1 style. Okay. In this very simple example, in the alert box, there's only one slot. Can we have multiple slots in one component? If so, how does the parent component or the consumer component pass template contents to it? And we'll talk about that in the next video, named slots. See you there.